Hi, my name is Christoph from CBR Technology in California. Today I'd like to discuss the manufacturing module in Business Central version 22 that's released this year, 2024. And to get a better understanding of the manufacturing capabilities of Business Central, which by the way requires the Business Central Premium license, unlike the Essential, which is the core product. The only difference between the premium license and the essential product is that it includes the manufacturing module and service management modules as well. And if you require the utilization of those two modules, you do need to purchase premium versus essential. In terms of data model, I'd like to start with this conversation, understanding the data model behind the Business Central manufacturing module itself. So on the left-hand side, you see master record setups and transactions. And on the right-hand side, you see setup tables that have to do with the configuration of the manufacturing module. So obviously, manufacturing module allows you primarily the ability to track progress of a production order in routing steps. And of course, you have a bill of material capability as well. You certainly have bill of material and assembly modules as well, but the difference between a production bill of material and an assembly bill of material, which are separate tables in Business Central, by the way, is that it contains information about scrap on the bill of material, which that feature doesn't exist in the assembly module, and it allows you to link the routing steps to a production bill of material vis-a-vis a feature called routing links. And these routing links allow you to specify what particular bill of material or raw materials are needed in specific routing steps. So with this routing link, you can optimize your backward forward flushing methodology in the system as well. So in addition to, of course, item setup and the production bill of material and routing step setups that we just discussed, there are also transactional data as well, which are the various production orders levels that you can have. And these are simulated production orders, which are used for primarily sales purposes, where a salesperson might go in and say, okay, I'm getting a call from a customer and they want 10,000 units. When can I deliver them by, based on raw material levels, capacity planning, ledger entries in your schedule for the machines, as well as replenishment of raw materials as well. And then finally, on the right-hand side, you see all the setup tables. So you have work centers and machine centers. A work center is a group above machine centers, and you can have multiple machines inside of a work center. So if you have, let's say, a punching press and you have 5 of them and they all perform essentially the same task, you can put them into a work center called punching press, but then each individual machine has its own machine center entry, and when you do production planning, you can move it into those individual pieces. And then just in terms of finishing up the setup conversation, you have capacity settings where you specify capacity and efficiency ratings for machines. You have a shop calendar that you define for each machine and work center, and shifts that are within shop calendars as well. When you do need to stop machines, you can have stop reason codes, as well as scrap reason codes when you scrap materials beyond the anticipated. And then finally, you can note absences for machines, that would be. So absences are not necessarily referring to humans, but it's referring to maybe a scheduled maintenance on one of your machines that you're using for manufacturing purposes. So in a nutshell, this is the manufacturing data model that is being activated when you get the Business Central Premium product activated. None of these features show up when you're running Business Central on the Essential product. So here we are in the Premium product, latest version 24 as of today, with the AI-enabled Copilot functionality as well. And now I'm in the production manager role. So I wanted to give you some sense for what is involved in this. So you have your product design functionality. So in addition, of course, to the item setup, you have the routing configuration. So routing configurations are things of what process you have to go through to make things happen. So, and you can certify these routing steps, and these are work centers and or machine centers that you're defining, as you can see here in the screen. And part of what you're looking at here is also the ability to set up defaults for setup times, run times, wait times, and move times. And then a new feature, relatively new in Business Central, is a fixed scrap quantity versus a scrap factor percentage that you can define in the system as well. A fixed scrap is a new feature because we had some clients that needed to be able to program the software, so whenever they start up a punching press, it would always waste 3 units or something like that. And it wasn't a percentage of the batch run, but it was just a fixed number of units that got scrapped as you go through that routing step in the software. What's important to note here is also that you have version capabilities. So if you do revision tracking in a controlled manufacturing environment, you need to have the ability to track versions potentially as well. These versions could apply both to the routing steps as well as to the bill of material, where of course most people expect to see that sort of functionality. And that is what you can do with the routing functions as well. Also important to note is that a lot of folks enter quality inspection steps into the routing process as well. So instead of just doing a single testing that you see in this test data demo system here, we have many clients that do quality inspection on the machines before they even start using them, while they're using them, after they're using them, all those sort of touch points where quality inspections could come into play. And then, of course, in the product design part of it, you also have your production bill of materials. And this would be, again, where you specify the components that are necessary to make an item, including the ability to create sub-assemblies as well. And then this is obviously fairly straightforward in that you certify the status for version tracking, and you have routing link codes that I mentioned a bit ago as well. And then depending on what sort of capabilities you have, you can do the where used and other functions around that part of the software here. So in my case here, I'm also going to go and show you an actual production order here real quick. The capacity planning is also work centers and machine centers that we talked about a moment ago, and these are the work centers that are defined. And when you do define a work center, you, for example, have a packaging department, and it might have a certain cost associated with the unit cost calculations can be based on a per unit or per timepiece. So you have some options in this area here, and of course it can support subcontractors as well if they are being utilized. There's a load capacity planning capability in there. There's a calendar view in there to show you a calendar visual presentation of the data. You can do a graphical scheduling tool as well, which gives you the ability to view your work schedules and work centers and machine centers in a calendar view. And when you have production orders showing up on here, you can actually drag and drop them in this graphical scheduling environment. And then finally, you have the ability to actually go through production orders. So I mentioned these 5 types of production orders in my previous slide, and we're going to go head directly into a release production order and just to kind of show you what these could look like. And you have production orders here. You make a certain quantity. That quantity is then represented in multiple lines. Of course, you can have multiple lines on the same production order. Then there is a component level that's needed to make this particular product here with the production bill of material driving this. Of course, you can change the components on the fly. Item tracking is referring to tracking either lot numbers or serial numbers for the components that are going into the finished product. You have a production journal that will be the net result of everything that is going on in the system. And of course, you have the routing steps that are involved in this particular bill of material and production order. So in here you see the 3 steps that this particular production order has to go through. And then as you print documents, you have your batch record or job cart that you can print here, material requisition document that you can prepare, and a shortage list that is tied to the production order immediately. Obviously, there's a lot of reporting surrounding that. A lot of people do this, with the enhanced Copilot listing capabilities inside of Business Central, or certainly you can use Power BI or any of the other tools that are out there to help you communicate with Business Central directly. Capacity planning, again, is obviously one of the key factors on why you use a manufacturing module, and shop calendar is certainly one place in work shift codes where you can specify exactly what sort of scheduling parameters you are working with in your particular organization. Obviously, there's a lot to this environment. There's conversations about discrete manufacturing versus batch manufacturing. There's some add-on modules that Business Central has available to focus on certain, particularly manufacturing environments more closely. But all of this is on the framework of the Business Central environment, which of course works very well with the entirety of the Microsoft Cloud offering. And this is kind of a little taster of what manufacturing module is all about inside of Business Central. I'd love the opportunity to talk to your team about how we can make the manufacturing module work for your organization. Please feel free to reach out to us at cbrtechnology.com, and we'll be happy to start a conversation about your project. Take care.